I just made myself some coffee using my 50 Shades Freed mug, and the mug says, I like my coffee like 50 Shades Free, sizzling hot. Just the way I like my men. That is so inappropriate, saneshnienaidoo. Super inappropriate considering you're talking about breakups, but anyway. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you guys so much for joining me in today's video. So as you guys can tell by the title, today is a little bit of a different video. I have been very reluctant to film this video, but if I help just one person out there get through a breakup, then I think that is pretty much all I ever aim to achieve with these kinds of videos. So yeah, you guys pretty much know my story. You know that last year in the middle of the year I went through a breakup. It was probably like one of the roughest breakups I've ever had, obviously because it was such a long-term relationship, and it's never easy. No matter how much you try to convince yourself that you'll get through it, it's never ever easy. And yeah, I got back into the dating scene recently, and that also didn't turn out very well. But I just want to share with you guys my tips and tricks for getting over a breakup and how I managed to heal, how I managed to get over it. I'm gonna grab some tissues because this might get emotional real quick. Let's hope not, but it might. So let me get some tissues. So usually what I do is I sit down and I kind of plan my videos, but today I'm literally just sitting in front of you with no planning whatsoever. I'm just like speaking from the heart. Also, you guys, I'm sorry for the lighting if the lighting's really whack because it's currently light outside. I'm sitting up against my blinds, so I'm sorry if the lighting's really bad. Where do I start with this whole situation, hey? I feel like people are always going to tell you what you want to hear when it comes to a breakup, or you'll get some people that tell you straight like it is, like whatever the case may be is, or the circumstances or whatever, right? But for me, I feel like despite what other people say, you need to make up your own mind and you need to decide things for yourself, and you need to ask yourself, was it a healthy relationship in the beginning? You know, like clearly there are reasons why it ended and you may not know those reasons, or you may have come to terms with certain things that you're not fussy about, or you've become tolerant, you've accepted to the point where you don't see an end to this relationship. That is how much you want it to work out, if that makes sense. I'm that kind of person. I will fight till the bitter end, and only once the person says no, 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 then I'm like, okay, fine, bye. But I've learned the first time that when somebody wants out, just let them go. Let them go. Don't ask them why. Clearly there's a reason. Just let them go. Don't fight. Don't fight it. It's hard. I know it's hard. I've been there. But if somebody wants to walk out, let them go. You don't waste your energy, because clearly they've already made their minds up. No matter what you say, no matter what you do, no matter what you sacrifice, it's not going to change their minds. It may change their minds for like 2 weeks, and then they're going to go back to the same mindset. No, I actually really don't want this. So yeah, if somebody is willing to walk away, let them go. You don't need that in your life. And the first step I would say to getting over a breakup is processing your feelings. And you know, to be honest, you're gonna feel like you're not good enough. You're gonna feel like such a failure at life. You're gonna feel like I can't even make one person happy. I can't make just one person happy. What is my life? You know, you're gonna feel so worthless, and it honestly is going through the motions of all your emotions when you're going through a breakup. But I would say take the first 2 weeks, cry it out. People are gonna say he's not worth your tears. Cry it out, get it out of your system, and then you can begin to process how you feel and all that stuff. So the first 2 weeks you're gonna be feeling sorry for yourself. If you suffer with mild depression like I do, you're going to be hella depressed. You're not going to want to do anything. You're not going to want to live life, and you're just going to be like, "Ugh, I'm such a failure. My life is horrible." You're going to be in such a negative space. But take 2 weeks and deal with your emotions. But what I did was that I absorbed myself in something else. Every time I felt like, no, I feel like I'm lapsing further into depression, I started doing Instagram live videos. And when you sit on Instagram live and you talk about makeup and things that you love, and it's not associated to a guy, it makes you forget your problems for that time being, which for me was my saving grace. It was my saving grace in the first 2 weeks of the breakup. I went on Instagram live every single day, middle of the night, 10 o'clock at night. We would talk, we would confide in each other, we would talk about we wouldn't even talk about breakups. We would talk about makeup, we would talk about influencers, we would talk about all these different things that kind of takes your mind off of the problem that you're dealing with, if that makes any sense. And for almost a month, I kept telling you guys I'm going through something. So if I seem very detached, if my videos are not coming up the way I wanted to, or I'm not uploading as frequently, I need you guys to understand that I'm currently going through something. I don't want to talk about it, but it is what it is. And so eventually, you know, I like got back into fitness. I started working out. I started feeling better. Let me tell you something, you guys. If ever you need the quickest pick-me-up of life, go outside, punch a boxing bag, skip some rope, do some squats, do physical exercise, because I promise you it increases your serotonin levels. And if I didn't like want to exercise, I would have been so much more depressed. And honestly, I was working towards a goal as well, because there was an event that was coming up and I wanted to slim down my body. So I was like, well, hey, now's the perfect time. I have motivation to have a glow up body. It is what it is, you know. And that's exactly what I did. So I literally just started exercising. I started having more lives. I basically absorbed myself into a world that helped me deal with the problem, where I wasn't sitting and wallowing in my misery, if that makes sense. And then also something that was, I feel like God's, you guys, I'm not very religious, but I do have a connection with God that hits me on another level of spirituality. And I feel like every single time something is about to happen in my life, God sends me small signs. And it is the craziest thing. It's the craziest thing. I was binge watching a whole lot of the Ace family videos, and I know you guys, I was online, I was up in the middle of the night, I couldn't fall asleep, so obviously I had to do something to get myself tired, and YouTube is what I always do before I go to bed. So I was watching some Ace family videos, literally binge watching the videos, and just random videos from throughout the year. And I was watching this one video where Austin and Catherine were talking about their favorite book. And the book was Milk and Honey by Rupi Kaur. But basically, she said that her favorite quote in that book was, "Don't mistaken salt for sugar. If he wants to be with you, he will. It is that simple." And I should have probably connected the dots like the week after the breakup, but literally a few days before the breakup, I came across this video. And I know it's completely coincidental, but I solely in my heart of hearts believe that it was God's sign to me that maybe hardships were coming, and that is the direction I should have taken with dealing with the whole situation. So the breakup had happened. I was in utter shock and disbelief because, like I said, I will fight till the bitter end. And this is just not the direction this person wanted to take. And I was just like, okay, can we at least try this? I'll change. I'll do whatever you want me to do. I will be more I will be extra considerate. And yeah, I was literally going the extra mile for somebody who had already made up their mind. And no relationship should have to be that much effort, where you physically have to do homework to make them happy or make them feel a certain way. And that quote kept popping up in my mind, and I was like, but I'm not willing to throw this away. Anyway, a week and a half goes by and I realized he wasn't going to change his mind. And so I had to make the conscious decision to just walk away. Just walk away. And it hurt like crap. As much as I was strong and I was still going to campus and I had to deal with all these emotions, I still went home at the end of the day and I cried, because that was my way of getting my emotions out. That was my way of dealing with it. It's just crying. And it is so hard. And I'm sure anybody who's ever been through a breakup knows how hard it is to process your feelings and like finally come to terms with the fact that you may have envisioned yourself with this person in the long term, but they have made a choice and you are not the choice they have made. They want an alternative reality and you have to come to terms with that, and it's the hardest thing ever. So enough rambling about the first 2 weeks of crying and getting it out of your system. Then what you need to do is delete all the pictures, all the chats. And I know it's like a woman's instinct to literally go through all the messages of when you guys were breaking up and kind of just try and process it and dissect it and understand it more. But if there's one thing I've realized is sometimes it's not always your fault. It has nothing to do with you sometimes. Sometimes you could have been the best person that there was and it just did not work out for Lord knows what reasons. But I feel like you should never change yourself for a relationship. Always be authentically you. And if people don't like who you are, then tough. You'll find someone someday that likes who you are, or loves you for who you are. But I honestly and truly don't think that relationships should change your entire being. Like, no. Relationships are supposed to make you better. They're not supposed to make you different. There's a huge difference between better than you were and changing who you were, if that makes sense. So yeah, it's so easy for us to fall into the same trap and go back to the messages, want to message them all the time, want to talk to them, want to be in constant communication with them. Just cut that all out of your life. And for me, guys, I always need closure. I don't know what is up with me and closure. I always feel like, as much as the guys don't say that there's anything wrong with me, they're always like, no, it's me, I can't handle this, I'm not ready for this, it's my problem, whatever. I always feel like, as much as they say it's not me, I know there is something in me that is driving them away. And one thing that I've come to realize in the past 2 days, and I know you guys are probably going to be like, past 2 days, oh, that is very recent. But one thing I've come to realize, and I had to realize this the hard way, after people close to me telling me that this was the situation and it was not my fault, only then did I realize that some things are out of my control. And you're going to want to fix things that are out of your control because you want to make the other person happy. But sometimes there's just some things you can't fix, and it's not your job to fix. And sometimes you're going to be collateral damage for some people who are so broken, and that's okay. I just went off on a little tangent, but like I was saying, sometimes you have to realize, and I've only realized this in the past couple of days, that sometimes relationships ending have nothing to do with you. Nothing to do with you. It may be that the person just thought they were ready for a relationship and then they realized they just weren't. And sometimes you have to be collateral damage for some people, and it's part of life, unfortunately. It's really and truly part of life, and it sucks. It sucks. Anyway, delete, like, I'm not the kind of person to just delete people's numbers off my phone and block them from social media. I'm just not that person, but we all are different, and we all are going to find different timelines to delete the message, delete the pictures. For me, I feel like 2 weeks, and then I'm deleting pictures, deleting messages, deleting every single trace that you were in my life. And that I've learned can give me closure, you know. If you guys hear purring, it is Gingy boy next to me. So basically, yeah, you kind of just want to go through the motions for the first 2 weeks, and yeah, eventually, you know, it takes time, you guys. It takes time to heal. But I'm going to leave you guys with another quote that I came across recently. And it's basically, sometimes your wounds are not your fault, but your healing is your responsibility. And I feel like that is so important. Like, you need to make the conscious decision to not wallow in your miseries and not let this put your life on hold, you know. Let me tell you something. Guys are always gonna say, oh, I'll come back. Oh, you're gonna come back. So up until then, I must wait. I don't know what guys expect you to do when they say they're gonna come back. Because if you liked me enough, you would have stayed in the first place. One thing I've definitely learned with regards to going through breakups is always keep your guard up. And always keep your walls up. And the right guy, because a lot of guys will be turned off with the fact that you're such a snob or whatever, but the right guy will stick around until you let him in, if that makes sense, until you take those walls down. And sometimes you just have to be extra cautious with your heart. I've been very reckless with my heart, and I feel like that's what probably gets me the most heartbroken. But this is pretty much how I got through the breakup. I made a conscious decision to heal. I'm not going to sit around moping, because it's not going to change anything. It's not going to bring him back. It's not going to make him want you more if you sit around and mope. And don't ever give him the satisfaction of knowing that you are suffering through the breakup. Because let me tell you something. When he decided to break up with you, his mind was made up. He is not fazed. He does not care. But you are the one that is dying and crying and questioning your self-worth and going through all these emotions when he is just out there, maybe just, you know, enjoying his life with his friends, you know, doing the most. His life still carries on. So your life should still carry on. And so yeah, in a nutshell, you need to process your feelings. You need to accept all of the things you can't change. You need to accept the fact that it's his choice, that he doesn't want to be in that relationship anymore, and you can't force somebody to stay with you against their will. Because all that's going to end up at the end of the day is he's going to end up resenting you. And it's going to be worse when you guys really, really and truly do break up. The next thing I would say is you decide. You decide your healing. You decide what happens next in your life. You are in control of your life. If you want to sit and mope around for 1 month, you sit and you mope around for 1 month. That's your journey that you are making the conscious decision to take. And then I would definitely say, do things that make you happy. Don't do things because you want your ex to see or you want to rub it in his face. Don't move on so quickly that you haven't had time to process your feelings yet. I feel like only get into another relationship if you feel like you are mentally ready, and if you feel like you are honestly and truly in a space where you can handle another situation, because emotionally you are messed up. You are so messed up and you don't know it until you get into another relationship. And lastly, I will say, and this is something I have to commend myself on because I'm really good at this, is don't compare your ex to potential guys. And I know, like, the first 2 weeks of the breakup, people are like, you're gonna find someone better, you're gonna find someone better. And everything in you, when you start talking to another guy, is gonna be like, oh, but he's like this, and he's like that, and he's like this. Oh yeah, he used to be like that also. And oh my god, he likes the same things he liked. Do not get yourself into that trap. Don't compare your ex to any other guy. Don't assume that just because there's similarities that they're going to be the exact same person. Sometimes they end up being the exact same person, but for the most part, they're not. Sometimes it just so happens that they happen to be almost the exact same person, and clearly you realize you have a type. But anyway, just have an open mind, have a clean slate when you're moving on, and don't compare. Don't think for once that every single guy is exactly the same, because they're not. They're not all the same. They should not be treated all the same. And yeah, the best advice I can give to those of you who have gone through breakups and are open to dating again is always be guarded with your heart. Don't be like me and be reckless, because it just leaves you worse off than some of the worst times in your life. So that is pretty much all I have to say about going through breakups. This is just how I got through my breakup, or breakups rather. And I just really hope that this helps at least one of you out there kind of get into a healthier space, a healthier mindset, especially if you've just gone through a breakup or have been through a breakup in the past year. And yeah, thank you guys so much for joining me in this video. I know it's a bit different, I know it's a bit in-depth and intense, but I felt like I needed to talk about this so I could help at least one of you out there. I'm sorry if this video is really long. I love you guys so much. Don't forget to slay all day, every day, with and without makeup. Love yourself. Know your worth. And once you know your worth, you will stop giving people discounts. I love you guys so much, and I'll talk to you in my next video.